Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Extra Time TV. This is Andre Soklal. I'm here with James Baird, and once again, we're now down to two James. France took on Morocco, and in a game that was a lot closer than other people expected. James and I knew it was going to be close. France eventually edged them 2-0. We now know who the finalists are. They meet Argentina in the final. James, let's talk about this game.
Yeah, well, this was a very, very interesting game. We obviously had the Atlas Lions coming up against Le Bleu. But it didn't take long for Le Bleu to send some blood from the Atlas Lions. A wonderful volley from Hernandez. I have to be honest, I think Bono, our good friend there not from U2, from Morocco, could have done a little better. I think he could have spread himself a bit more. But what a great show of agility from Hernandez to be able to finish it off. And that really put them in the driving seat for the game. I have to say, for long periods of the game, Morocco promised a lot. They looked well. Amrabat had some great passing sequences. Hakimi, Ziyech, they looked very good, but the killer blow came in the second half, and France put them to bed. So, I mean, this is a Moroccan team that we have to give a lot of credit to.
Yep.
Their coach has done, Walid Regragui, has done a fantastic job. He's put together a team that I think, could even come back at next World Cup and do well as well. Some of them are not too old, but I think they were like a wounded lion today.
Yeah.
The injuries to Seas, a few of the other players, especially 3 defenders being out for this game, really caused them a problem. And I think that was the main issue for them. I think if they had a full-strength squad, it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah.
But as I say, don't take anything away from them. They did have that overhead kick that hit the post. They did have 2 or 3 magical moments, but Le Bleu were just too much for them in the end.
Correct. Morocco has been the revelation team, the fairy tale team, if you'd like to call it, but they have been performing really well, as James said. Today, what I was very impressed with, France, some people argue that, they've just been giant killers for the entire tournament, meaning Morocco. But even after they conceded the first goal, their ability to pass in the midfield and so on, even with all those injuries, usually would rattle other teams, and, with a little bit of luck, they could have caused some complications for France. But eventually, in the end, France took their chances. There was a couple chances as well where I thought Morocco kind of should have pulled the trigger, and they kind of held back a little bit. So, personally, I think Morocco could leave this tournament with their heads held high. And, there's a third place game for them, so they still have a chance of grabbing an actual medal.
But the one thing I would say, Andre, is one of the one critical or way I would criticise the coach today. Obviously, we know Coach Walid Regragui has had a great tournament, but he changed today to a back 5.
Yeah.
He's played a back 4, usually played like a 4-2-3-1. That change, I think, was to facilitate Seas, who was injured, and he actually started the game like an old-fashioned sweeper.
Yeah.
He was playing behind the back 4 and trying to sweep up, but the injury was just too much for him. And I think, to be perfectly honest, him playing so deep kept playing Mbappe, Griezmann, Dembele, and Giroud onside.
Yeah.
So it was probably the wrong call today. I think if they had had that extra man in midfield, they would have forced France back a little more early on. So in hindsight, maybe he will, rue that change he made. But again, you can't take anything away from them. They did do so well. I think Boufal had a great game. He went off in the second half, but Amrabat had a good game as well. Ziyech, El Nesri probably didn't have the kind of game he's had in the past, and he was substituted in the second half as well. But as I say, you have to give them a lot of credit. The Atlas Lions have showed the world how good a team they are. And as I say, I am sure they will bounce back in the future. And I'm not going to say they're going to make a semis or a final again, but they're going to show the world how good they are on a continual basis.
Correct. And, the foundations, as James said, it's there moving forward. What I was really impressed with overall, even with the injuries, the ability to adapt to certain situations. And, yes, They kind of kept it tight at the back, but that's how you win tournaments. And one of the things I'll talk about, in terms of possession, the French team had less possession. They had 38% possession. And this is an example of how it can work for you. France, and they did this in the last World Cup, they have a tendency, I won't say sit back, I won't use that word for them, but they're not afraid to allow the opposition to have possession, in the middle of the park and work their way around. And kudos to Morocco. They had to do that when they conceded that first goal. And then they take you out. They snipe you and they take it out. They have the ability to do that. I've seen them do that at the last World Cup. Didn't work so well in the Euros. To me, I don't think that France, we haven't really seen, and this sounds like a crazy statement, I don't think we've really seen France fire at full cylinders yet. I think they've been getting results. The England game, I think, was their first real test. But I think Morocco kind of gave them a little bit of a scare. But I think heading into the final, they must be really confident heading in.
Well, I think when I look at both teams for the final, your boys Argentina or France, I think defensively they both have cracks there, which makes me think they could be a high-scoring game, which is great for the neutral. But one thing I would say about France is they made some changes today. I thought Konate came in at the back because I think I heard Ipkamte had an illness. And then obviously Fofana came in for Rabiot as well in there. So I think there was something to do. I was reading about the air conditioning was affecting some of the players. They weren't able to play, and obviously Didier Deschamps had to make these changes. But the players that came in had a good game. But like I say, both teams, whether I look at Argentina or France for the next game, they just have that, I don't want to say a little error in them because I think they're all good players, but there was the fact that Morocco were able to carve out opportunities, especially wide, and be able to get crosses in. As I say, Hugo Lloris had a few saves. Coming back to the one that hit the post, I mean, that overhead kick, I don't know how the player was able to get the time to overhead kick it, So there's things that you have to think about for the final that the coaches will just have to tweak those little details.
Yep, and we always talk about the stats. I'm going to go back to the stats. Like I said, 38% for France possession, 62 for Morocco. Shots on target, 3 for both teams on target. 13 overall for Morocco, 14 for France. So it was pretty close in terms of the shooting thing. Pass accuracy is around the same, 80%, 86%. Do you think, I mean, these are the what ifs, and this is the nightmare that coaches have to live with afterwards. You'll sit down, stare at the ceiling. Do you think if Morocco had their full complement of players and they were fully fit, that this result would have been different? Or France would have eventually won anyway?
I think it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things, like I said, Siaz would have probably played in a back four. They would have been a little bit more organised because that pushing them back was difficult because it meant they had to have a sweeper, which, as I say, played on players. And when you've got pace like Mbappe has, you can't do that. So I think with the fit players, it would have made a huge difference. I'm not saying they would have beat France, but it would have been maybe a 1-0 or pushed it maybe to extra time. But as I say, again, you have to give France credit because, as I say, the players coming in for Fofana, Tchouaméni obviously played again in this game. I thought Griezmann was fantastic throughout the game, and I think he's probably been one of the unsung heroes in the tournament because I heard the commentators saying it. He's went from strength to strength in games. He doesn't get a lot of credit because he runs into spaces. He takes players out to allow the space from Mbappe and Dembele. So he's very critical to how this French team plays. So all in all, I think the right team won. As I say, it's sad that the Atlas Lions Morocco are going home, but they did themselves very much proud.
Correct. Let's talk about his second goal. So, at that point in time, the game was on a knife's edge. It was looking pretty close. Morocco really looked like they were going to snatch something, and then there was 3 players involved, but I want to speak about Mbappe because he's the man everybody talks about. There was a particular moment where he took on 3 or 4 players, and then eventually I think it was kind of like I use this expression a lot, the pin through the heart of the players. He got that final pass in, and the substitute came on and got that goal. What do you think about that? Those are the moments, kind of like Messi, where the game changes for you. What do you think about Mbappe's performance, not just there for the goal, but overall?
Well, I think if you're talking about, and I have to be very honest here, the best player in the tournament so far, I mean, Messi has lit up the last game, is fantastic, but Mbappe today showed that, he's probably just a little bit ahead in that performance he put in today and in the whole tournament, the goals he has. But the way he danced around that box was just absolutely phenomenal. He moved the ball, he moved the players, and obviously I think it was Koulibaly came in the back post and got the goal, but if Mbappe didn't do what he did, the goal doesn't happen. He basically, I actually think maybe it was a shot going across goal and Koulibaly came in at the back post and put it in. So again, Mbappe led the line, he drove forward with purpose. The pace he has is phenomenal. I think the fact that Hakimi was able to keep him subdued for periods of the game says a lot for him as well, but that pace is phenomenal, it's magnificent, and as I say, it sets up a final Mbappe against Messi. Wow. Well, we couldn't ask for any more than that.
Yep, we were talking about PSG representation in the final. No matter what, there's PSG people in there. So even if Morocco won, we'd have Hakimi and so on. Now, I don't like to say it like that, but it is what it is. Mbappe versus Messi. But before we move along, James, final
thoughts. M&M's.
Oh, wow. Okay. But before we move along, Deschamps was a coach that did get a little criticism after the Euros. Yes, he won the World Cup. He was a coach, I'm going to go back in time a little bit. When he was appointed for France, he wasn't a popular choice. He had some stints at Juventus and so on. I think he was at Monaco, if I'm not mistaken. And it seems as if when Monaco, at one point in time, got their money, and then they kind of traded him up for another coach. Then at Juventus, it was the same thing when they got relegated. They used him, and he was a coach that a lot of people kind of was like, yeah, he's okay. But he's won the World Cup. He's managed to get the best out of Mbappe, and I would even say Pogba, although he's not here. What do you think about his overall way of handling this French team in the big games, especially in the last 2 games?
Well, I think he's definitely stepped up over the years, and one thing I would say is there's actually talk that Zidane will not take the job now. We heard that he was going to be the new French coach.
Yeah.
But because Deschamps has done so well, I'm actually hearing that Zidane may go to Juventus now and a few other places. So that's all credit to Deschamps that he's got these results.
Yeah.
And that he could keep his job because of it. So it's fantastic. And as I say, I think he's grown into the role.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have, I think, the best relationship with some of the players. I mean, we saw that in the past with the way he handled Pogba and different ones. Benzema, there was the issue he wasn't using them. But to me, the good thing about a coach is you can adapt and you don't hold grudges. And the fact is, he brought Benzema back in. He showed that he doesn't hold grudges. So to me, that's all credit to him as a coach. As I say, he's transcended himself, and again, he could have his hands on another World Cup trophy.
Correct. So this is also an interesting thing that we'll talk about after the break. We'll have a mini preview, but we'll have the full preview tomorrow as well. We'll sit down and break down formations, all those things. We'll even talk about the 3rd place game as well. But before we head into that, James, these 2 teams have the opportunity. They both have 2 stars on their crest. So there's a lot more than just winning the World Cup. They both really want to cement their legacy for different reasons. I know a lot of people they're speaking about Messi wanting to be the GOAT, but I think if you ask both players, they want to win it for their country. Yes, that helps. That's a cherry on top. But we'll see how it goes. But before we want to stick to this game a little bit. Morocco, not much people gave them a chance on the beginning of the tournament. What do you think was their secret? I don't like using the word secret. It sounds very mystical. For being so consistent, getting to this far in the tournament, and also performing really well against a strong team like France.
Well, they had a phenomenal team spirit, and I think the coaches instilled that. I mean, they have some of their superstars. They have obviously Ziyech, Hakimi. To me, they have a very good goalkeeper at the back, and they have a good backbone. That's Sias, El Nesri up top, Amrabat in midfield. So they have good players, but that resilience they have, that togetherness, the unity they have has brought them through games, and they're able to grind out results. And they always say that's what makes a good team.
Correct.
You think about Premier League, the reason why Manchester United were so successful is they could grind out results back in the day. Can't do it now so much, but they could do it then,
Yeah.
No, it's not a dig for the Man U fans, but I mean, that's just football. So I think Morocco were able to do that. And there was at times today when it was 1-0, I was thinking, Morocco just get that goal and they can maybe grind it out to the end. They weren't able to do it. It was elusive today, but at the end of the day, they're a team that will bounce back, and they have the players, they have the coach, and they have the talent.
Yes, credit to France for getting to the final. That athletic goal at the beginning was insane because it looked...
Well, the funny thing is, remember, he came in because of the injury to his brother. So, I mean, he would not have played. So it just shows you. So, and I think even the second goal, that was his second quickest goal from a substitute in World Cup history.
Yeah, that's
when
insane.
Koulibaly came on. 34 seconds he was on the field and goal.
That's insane. I mean, what a way to start, right? I mean, I really don't know what to say, but at least Morocco and Croatia as well, they have a chance to, still get some glory. So, they don't have to keep their heads down. They have that 3rd place playoff that a lot of people usually scoff at. But I think for Morocco and teams that really defy the odds, this is an exciting game for them. So we'll do a little preview on that as well. So, before we head to our commercial break from the wonderful folks of Biotech, folks, we need to remind you, this is the place to be. We're going to have some events on the final. Come on down. We'll talk a little bit more after the break. But, James, we have a lot of giveaways. We have that special trip. Let's talk about that trip before we head into the break.
Well, we have that wonderful trip for 2 to Tobago. So flights for 2 to Tobago with our friends at Venture World Travel. So come down here and enjoy the game on the 18th, this Sunday, the final of the World Cup. Come down, we'll put you into a prize draw and you'll get the chance to win that, along with all the other prizes. We have shin guards from Armour Flex. We have lots of giveaways from Stag, because Stag are sponsoring the final. So you come down, we're going to have a massive screen in the car park. There's going to be tables, there's going to be people standing, there's going to be giveaways, there's going to be Stag girls, there's going to be Angostura things. So wow. Yes. My mouth is full from speaking so much.
Yes. So there's a lot of reasons to come on down for
and
the
final.
other
thing, before I forget, it's football fancy dress. So come down here, be exuberant, show your passion for your team, whether it's the Blues of Argentina or the Blue of France. So, I mean, blue is going to be the colour of the day.
Yep.
make sure you get dressed up, enjoy the event, and come down here and enjoy the day with us.
Yes, it happens once every 4 years, so it's the most wonderful time of the year for football people. Or maybe
That sounded like a song.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll get a record deal. So folks, we always have to mention the people that have supported us throughout the entire tournament. We're going to have a kind, wonderful, safe message from the folks of Biotech. And before we move along, James, we'll have a quick conversation about the final. Folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think about this game? What do you think about James and I? Our thoughts? You can disagree, agree, that's fine. Put it in the comment section below. Follow us on our social media, EXTV, Smokey and Bunties, all the social media there is out there. Also on Twitter, we have a lot of polls as well. We have hilarious nonsense on TikTok as well. If you have one as well, I heard a couple people, they inboxed me and they told me that they want to send some of their celebration videos. Send them. We'll probably have a little compilation video, have some votes, and see who had the best celebration. Maybe you'll get a prize. Who knows? So, before we move along, today I'm wearing the digital watch, folks. Last time I was wearing the other one.
And he wasn't on time.
It did not work. But it's from the kind folks of SJG Watches and Accessories. Their store is in Gasparilla, but you can order online. We'll be having them there on the final. So those of you who want to get your watches still, and I know there's a lot of Argentina fans out there, but also you guys and gals whose team is not here, you loyal fans who want to get your gear. I know those people who wear their team throughout the year, even when the World Cup is not going on. We have the Portugals and the Germanys and everybody else. Come on down, you can get that, and you can also get them for $200 instead of the usual price. So there's incentives, folks. Incentives.
And the one thing I was going to say, Andre, I mean, just because your teams went home does not mean you can't wear their shirt and come and support them on the final. Correct. As well. At the end of the day, represent your team and own it, because I know some people were saying they don't want to wear their Portugal shirt because they feel sad. At the end of the day, it's been one of the best World Cups we've seen.
Yes.
Come out, enjoy the day with us, and be proud of who you've supported.
Yes, support your team. You don't abandon your team. And the real fans, they understand. We don't have to tell you all. We know you all know, except bandwagon fans. But let's have a quick conversation. So now we know the finalists. We're down to 2. The final 2. Argentina take on France. The last time they met in this setting was in the last World Cup. It was a crazy game. Argentina was in disarray back then. They almost did not make it out of the group stage. They had a whole bunch of problems going on, yet the game was still 4-3. It was a complete goal fest. Do you think it's going to be... We're not going to do a full preview, but how do you think this is going to go, James?
Well, first of all, I can hear the music coming on, like, it's a final countdown. Yeah. But we see, obviously, the two faces on the screen there. I mean, What a game it's going to be, Mbappe against Messi. But to me, the big question is, can the defence of both teams match up to those two players there? Because... I mean, both teams have a glitter in the superstars. We know that. We know, for example, Alvarez to me has been one of the young players who's lit up the whole tournament, been phenomenal. We know, obviously, he's benefited a lot playing around Messi. But then when you look at the back as well, you've got Martinez, you've got Otamendi. So there's so many players I could highlight from both teams. And then on a French point of view, will the defenders like Upkembe come back in? Or will we stick with the players that played in this game? Will Rabiot come back into midfield? So there's so many questions I have. But as I say, the biggest question is, can those defenders on both sides, handle these two? And that is my big worry. And if not, it's going to be a bit a high goal scoring game, a mouthful there. So, which is great for the neutral.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And to be honest, both teams have I won't say similar, but they have similar approaches where they're not afraid to. Like I said, I won't use the word sit back, but they're not afraid to sometimes let the opposition have possession and strike with speed. France has Mbappe, of course, but Giroud, for me, it could be someone who's a key difference maker, and we'll speak about it a little more. But I think his height and his ability to score goals now causes problems to defenders. Before, he was just that layoff man; he would roll the ball off. But this time around, combined with the midfield, and there's so much things to dissect.
The funny thing is, we're talking about the 2 men up front, in a sense.
Yeah.
But actually, it could be the 2 men at the back that could, contest the game, because you've got Martinez and Hugo Lloris, 2 of the best goalkeepers around, so it could be a busy day for both of them. So can they handle the pressure,
Aston Villa versus Tottenham, folks, those 2 guys. It's crazy. Folks, let us know what you think in the comment section. French fans, Argentina fans, come on down and represent as well. We want to see you all represent your teams and be a real fan. Not one of those closet fans who hangs out at home. Come on down and represent. one team will be happy, one team will be sad, but that's where we are now. We're at the big boy stage. It's the final stage. Big boy pants or person, adult. It doesn't have to be boys. But I am very excited as an analyst, as a fan. I'm very nervous because I know how good France is. And folks, we'll be having our preview. We'll probably have Kevin on as well, where we'll discuss, tactics, formations, key players, and all those things. But start letting us know in the comment section below. We're going to have a poll. Put your vote who you think is going to win, and then we'll also have a little mini draw as well. And whoever gets it right automatically gives you a chance to win a prize. So let's see all you football gurus out there. I know you all have your football knowledge. Sometimes you all think you all know more than everybody else. Prove it. Let's see who you think is going to win. So James, any final thoughts on this game before we go?
Well, ultimately, I'm just daydreaming of that in the back there. Who's going to get their hands on that trophy there?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Le Bleu or is it going to be Argentina? I mean, I have to say, we probably couldn't have expected a better final than this, with the exception of, obviously, if Portugal had got there and been Messi against Ronaldo. But I think we've got the epic final we wanted. The fact it's Mbappe against Messi. As you say, the PSG connection. It's going to be huge. It's going to be fun. There's going to be so many giveaways, and I just can't wait.
Yeah, what's the dressing room going to be like at PSG after this World Cup? That's going to be an interesting conversation, which we'll do, because we always, even though the World Cup will be ending, we always have a lot of football stuff going on. So be prepared. Come on down. So James, before we go, I want to say a special thank you to everybody who has been following us, who has been giving us comments, suggestions. We see the analytics, so we see that we have fans from all over the planet. They've been looking at our shows. We really appreciate that. All our sponsors and partners, and folks, you, the fans, who continue to just support the game. Football is bigger than all of us. We've made a lot of friends.
Now, one of the things I just want to say is, I know there's these debates going on online about who's the greatest in the world and who's this and who's that. At the end of the day, I'm going to say this. Football is fun, and it should be fun. So I think sometimes we get too wrapped up in worrying about who's the goat or who's the sheep or who's whatever. At the end of the day, we should be enjoying this. And the fact is, we've had some fantastic players graced the fields of Qatar this time around. We should marvel at that instead of arguing with our friends and our families and all this. At the end of the day, come down and enjoy that final. Have a smile on your face. Have a drink if you have to. But just have a good time, because at the end of the day, football is fun, no matter what MD says.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be watching it. So enjoy it. Don't bicker, don't argue. Enjoy the football.
Yes. And maybe we'll have two goats, if that's possible. Really, that's a whole other discussion. So folks, once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. Follow us on our various social media platforms. Come on down to Smokey and Bundy's on the Avenue for the final. We have a lot of events that we mentioned before. And James, let's end the show like we always do.
Well, after Le Bleu handled the Moroccan, the Atlas Lions today, make sure we all come down and support us on Sunday, and make sure you all continue to watch the greatest show on earth.